I don't have a goofy intro this week because I'm too mad at Scotland. What's up, I'm Pete Glasgow, and this right here is Raw Emotion, where I take a look at this week's Monday Night Raw, and I tell you a little bit about what I think and a lot about how I feel. And the feels are strong on this one, Marks. Ooh, they are strong. But let's start at the beginning, when Stephanie McMahon came out and made this whole big U.S. election joke, comparing, making you think she's talking about the election, but really she's talking about Survivor Series and Raw versus SmackDown, and you had the whole, 5 years that this election cycle has been going for to make that joke, right? And you chose to make it, on the day that you were in Scotland. Scotland. I'm not assuming that the Scottish people are ignorant entirely of American politics. All I know is that I have no idea what goes on in Scottish politics, so I don't know, maybe that's a me problem, but the point is, I wouldn't have made that joke there. I don't think it really connected, And then she also went on to say that Survivor Series is going to be fantasy warfare come to life. You probably could have just stopped at fantasy warfare, Steph, because that's what wrestling is. But let's put all that aside and focus on the way that they laid this episode out, because it was a little less wrestling than you would usually get, because they're leading up to Survivor Series and they were really pushing those teams, those 3 Survivor Series teams, 5-man, 5-woman, 5-team teams with in-ring segments throughout the night, starting with the men's team in the opening segment. The men's team, of course, being Roman Reigns, Kevin Owens, Chris Jericho, Braun Strowman, and who's the 5th guy? Ooh, mystery, big mysterious reveal. Who could it possibly be? Oh, it's Seth. Of course it's Seth. Obviously it's Seth. Is there a big enough mark out there that actually was like, oh, I don't know who it could be? Not that I'm complaining, obviously Seth is the right pick, and really I like what's happening with this team. The interesting chemistry of this team, and how the chemistry is going to be at Survivor Series between this team and the SmackDown team, because you got Braun Strowman for Raw facing off against Bray Wyatt and his new acolyte, Randy Orton, over on SmackDown. You've got Reigns and Rollins on the same team for Raw facing off against Dean Ambrose for SmackDown. There's going to be all kinds of interesting stuff that could go on in here, so I am getting excited. They're doing their job right. I'm getting excited for Survivor Series. This segment ended with Steph booking a fatal 5-way match for the main event this week. We'll get into that later. Let's move on for now into Cruiserweight Corner. I'm just going to own it. Just gonna own it. But in Cruiserweight Corner, we only had one Cruiserweight match this week, and it was a tag team match between the teams of Rich Swann and Sin Cara, I believe, versus the Cruiserweight champion Brian Kendrick, teaming with a debuting Noam Dar. Finally, I've been waiting to see this guy. I checked out some of his other stuff. I had been watching him over in WCPW. You can get their weekly show for free, by the way, just right here on YouTube. Go subscribe to WCPW. Support indie wrestling. It's done by the What Culture guys. They're fantastic. It's good watching. Go check it out. But he's a great cruiserweight, he's a great wrestler, he's a great personality, and he came out and tag teamed with Brian Kendrick, who, of course, had an issue with him at the end of the match, and they got into a little scuffle, yada yada, you know how it goes, it's wrestling. But they only gave Brian Kendrick any time on the mic. They didn't let anybody else talk, and that's the thing, is that if you can't give these dudes some time to do some in-ring promos, live on the mic, we're not going to care about their characters. Brian Kendrick is the only cruiserweight in the division that I really know much about his character or any sort of story. Rich Swann is a close second, but he as strong of a character as he is, he doesn't have a storyline. They really need to, maybe this is going to happen on 205 Live. I need to start watching that, obviously. I may not have time to, but maybe they're going to explore some storylines and characters a little more in-depth on 205 Live, new Cruiserweight exclusive show on the WWE Network. But I remain cautiously optimistic, even though it seems like the Cruiserweight division might be floundering a little bit here. I think they can still rescue it. I think they can make this work. Got a couple of hype packages throughout the night, building up that Goldberg versus Lesnar match, and really well done. I mean, big ups to the WWE editing team that put that together. Really effective, really effective. They did their job. Again, I'm hyped. I'm excited for this match. I didn't think I would get this excited, but those were some pretty good hype packages. And I really just love when they give Brock Lesnar, backstage pre-recorded promos, because what that editing team is able to do is to make him look a lot better than he makes himself look with, live in-ring promos. It's never that impressive when he grabs the mic in the ring and says anything. But with these backstage things, they can just let him loose. He can swear, he can say whatever he wants, and they edit around it and make him look fantastic. I don't know how many takes it took for him to get some of those lines, but they made it look really good. Now moving on to the tag team 5-team Survivor Series team segment. Yeah, well, the tag teams that are on the team come out. The word team doesn't make any sense anymore to me. It sounds like gibberish. I've said it so many times. But they all come out. You got Cesaro, Sheamus, you got Enzo and Cass, you got the Club, you got the Golden Truth, who later on in the night end up getting replaced by the Shining Stars. They all quibble and squabble for a bit, and then the New Day comes out, and there's more quibbling and squabbling, and Gallows and Anderson are the only ones who are like, yeah, no, screw you, we're doing our own thing, man, and we'll stab you in the back first chance we get. Which leads to a New Day versus the Club tag team match at the end of that segment, and the Club wins. It was a good match to watch. The New Day kept their Braveheart gear on. By the way, I don't think I mentioned that. They came out in Braveheart gear, just full kilts and blue face paint. I don't know if that's like, is that like Blueface? Can they do that? Francesca had been replaced by her Scottish cousin, Agnes. It's a set of bagpipes. It was a whole thing. But they kept all that stuff on for the match. It was a great match. Kofi is in there just being Kofi, doing his Kofi thing. But the finish I have a problem with because the Club won. And it seemed like they were trying to establish okay, the New Day is going to have a match with the Club. They're going to put them in their place and make them be an effective part of the team. Like, we're in charge, we're the captains. And then they're going to play ball after this. But the Club won, making them look more dominant. Which, again, I complain about them losing a lot all the time. But I feel like this was a case where they probably should have lost. It's just... the booking for this team is so backwards. But yeah, then we move on and you see the backstage segment where R-Truth is telling Goldust that he actually sold their spot on the Raw team for a timeshare, a vacation in Puerto Rico, yada yada, Shining Stars. They get into a match with them to try and win their spot back. They can't do it. Shining Stars get a heel win on them, get the foot up on the ropes for the pin, and so now the Shining Stars are on Team Raw. The match overall was great. Really great. This is a great undercard match. These are some really good undercard tag teams. The Golden Truth and the Shining Stars, I like what they're doing. It was fun to watch, and I didn't think it was too contrived, and there was no Titus O'Neil to be seen anywhere on this week's episode, which is always a plus. And this brings us to the Women's Survivor Series team segment. Here's the thing. Glasgow is a garbage wrestling crowd. Period. Because here's the thing, in case you didn't watch the episode, if for some reason you're watching this before you watched Monday night's episode of Raw, here's what happened, okay? They try and bring out the ladies who are on the team, and Charlotte is trying to cut a promo out there. They're trying to do an in-ring segment just like they did with the men and with the tag team, and Bayley is brought out, and the crowd starts singing that, "Hey, Bayley," which is fine. Right? It's fine. You are a part of the show if you're in the crowd. To an extent, you're a part of the show with your signs and your chants, and that's fine. It's part of the experience. I love some of the stuff the crowd does when I'm watching from home. But, they did not stop. They kept it going, and not just a few times to make their point to Charlotte, "We like Bayley, we don't like you," and then that was it. No, Charlotte's out there trying to cut an actual promo, trying to move this story along, trying to do her job and entertain these people, and they're out there shouting over her non-stop. Who does that? Like what about you has to be so fundamentally broken that you go out to a show and you pay money to see professionals who are out there every single day, putting their bodies on the line, giving it their all to entertain you, right? And you decide, you know what I should do? You know what all of us should do is we should take this show that we're watching and these performers, and we should need to take all the attention off of them and put it all on us. What is wrong with you? And make no mistake, this was not about Bayley. Sure, they were chanting and singing for Bayley, but this was about them because they made their point quite clear. After about 2 or 3 choruses of that, we get it. You don't have to keep it going. Charlotte is out here trying to cut a promo, and I get that you hate her character. You're supposed to. She's a heel. But this actual person behind the character is out there trying to put on a good show for you, and you are making it impossible because you decided it needed to be about you. That is a garbage move. You're a garbage wrestling crowd, Glasgow. You should be ashamed of yourselves. I hope WWE never comes to Glasgow again. Not until you get it together, guys. Alright? Jeez. Oh, and side note, haggis? Gross. What are you doing? By way of a footnote, I want to make it clear that the people of Glasgow are probably mostly very good people. The people that happen to be in that arena this week on Monday, garbage wrestling fans. Many of them. Not all of them. There were plenty that were not singing. I could see their faces, but you know who you are. But coming out of that segment, we got a tag team match between, heel team, face team. I don't even remember most of it, honestly, because I was just still seething from the... We're gonna move on. Sami Zayn got a match against Rusev, or Rusev got a match against Sami Zayn, however you want to think about it, to determine which of them was gonna go answer Dolph Ziggler's open IC title challenge at Survivor Series. And this match opened with Lana coming out, doing her thing where she introduces Rusev, and then saying, "So I ask you, America." Not where you are, Lana. Not where you are. I'm having a really hard time deciding if that was like an intentional thing that she did on purpose because, haha, heat, or if she like legitimately was just so like in the zone of what she usually does that it just came out and she's like, oh, dang it. Because you could see on her face right after she said it, she's like, I know exactly what I did. Huh. But it was as great of a match as you might expect a match between Rusev and Sami Zayn to be. The way Sami Zayn sells those kicks to the head, where he just like, and then just like bridges back essentially, but without the arms. It's so good. Sami Zayn won, of course, and will go on to challenge Dolph Ziggler for that Intercontinental title, and I think that was the right decision. I've been worried that Sami might get buried recently, but this is a good kind of push for him. He's going to be in a big match, a title match, on a big show. Good news. I'm a little sad that Rusev lost, and I think they need to do something a little bit better with him, but he's at least more established. Sami Zayn needs a push, and he's getting a push, and I'm on board. Good job, guys. The main event was pretty fantastic, showcasing, all 5 of the dudes on the men's team and what they can do. Of course, Braun just wrecking shop until they all team up on him and he just bursts out like Neo in Matrix Reloaded. Rollins took it to him with a kendo stick just like over and over and over again, and he pulls out a table, they set the table up, and then you see him calling for it. They knew how much we wanted to see Reigns and Rollins powerbomb Braun through that table, but no, not yet. Oh, not yet. You gotta see the pay-per-view. I mean, eventually Chris Jericho did get powerbombed onto Braun, who was on the table, but that was just Seth Rollins that did it anyway. Just a spot fest. I loved all the spots in this match. It was great. It was exactly what it needed to be to get us excited to see the Survivor Series teams in action together. Gonna be good. And the finish was fantastic to this match, too. I do want to mention the finish. Seth Rollins lands a pedigree on Jericho, right? And then he gets, I don't know, something happens to him. I think he takes like an enziguri from Kevin Owens or something. And then Roman comes along, Superman punches Owens, and then kind of collapses and like falls off the edge of the ring as Owens just and falls on top of Jericho, covering him with his shoulders down for a 3 count, and that's how the match ended. I thought that was a fantastic choice. But those are my thoughts, those are my feelings. Let me know in the comments, are you as mad as me about what happened during the women's segment? Are you excited for Survivor Series? Are you excited for Goldberg versus Lesnar? Let me know in the comments, discuss it, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe this video. What? You don't subscribe to the video. Like and share the video and subscribe to the channel. There's all the buttons down there. You know how YouTube works. Do the YouTube stuff, man. Check out our other shows, too. But that is it for Raw Emotion this week. That's all I got for you, guys. So, I'm going to go try to not think about the election by watching more wrestling. I've been Pete Last Guy. You've been a delight. This match is over in 1, 2... But anyway, then we move on and we see the backstage segment where R-Truth is telling Goldust that he sold their spot on the SmackDown team. SmackDown team. I laughed, I cried, I shouted at my TV. It was, why did I do that voice? Oh, the world is ending.